air in East Rutherford, New Jersey does not just feel warm on this mid-July night in 2026. It feels heavy, thick with the moisture of the Hudson and the unbearable weight of impending history. MetLife Stadium rises from the swamplands like a concrete colossus. A modern-day Roman Colosseum prepares to host either the ultimate coronation or a devastating tragedy. Argentina against Spain. The world champions against the European kings. But those labels feel far too small, far too sterile to capture what this truly is. This is a collision of souls, a violent intersection of two distinct footballing epochs, two opposing philosophies, and two generations of players trying to write their names across the sky at the expense of the other. Before we dive into today's breakdown, a quick shout out to those who live, breathe, and lose sleep over this beautiful game. If you are tired of shallow hot takes and crave deep tactical analysis, raw football passion, and storytelling that goes far beyond the 90 minutes, welcome to your new home, Section 101 Football. This isn't just another YouTube channel, it's our digital terrace, the place where we dissect the chalkboard, celebrate the legends, and debate the game with the depth it truly deserves. Subscribe to Section 101 Football on YouTube and join the conversation. On one side, you have Argentina. They are not merely a football team. They are a traveling theater of raw emotion, a band of battle-hardened street fighters who have marched through the fires of controversy to stand on the precipice of immortality once more. They play with a visceral, street-bred instinct that Lionel Scaloni has somehow elevated into a fine art, all revolving around a living god, Lionel Messi, who is performing his final slow-motion tango on the grandest stage of all. On the other side stands Spain. If Argentina is fire and street dust, Spain is ice and laboratory glass. They are a football machine, engineered to near absolute perfection by modern sports science. Young, clinical, and utterly relentless, operating under the quiet, metronomic heartbeat of Rodri. I have spent nearly 40 years chasing this ball around the world, watching the great dramas of this game unfold from press boxes, touchlines, and quiet corridors. Yet I cannot recall a final that carried this much narrative gravity, where every pass feels like a sentence in a novel, and every tackle feels like a declaration of war. To understand what is about to happen on this pitch, we must look beyond the green grass and dig into the deep, sedimented layers of tactics, the quiet whispers of the dressing rooms, and the raw, unadulterated madness that governs the hearts of these two nations. Let us look first at La Albiceleste, because to understand them, you must understand that statistics are completely useless. They do not capture the heartbeat of this team. Under Scaloni, Argentina has become a fascinating, living paradox. They are capable of moments of sheer, breathtaking lyricism, of passing sequences that feel like poetry written in real time. But they are equally comfortable dragging you into the dark, muddy trenches of psychological warfare. They will talk to you, they will pinch you, they will tempt you into madness, and then they will punish you for losing your head. Their semifinal victory over England, a suffocating, nerve-shredding 2-1 triumph, was a perfect miniature portrait of this Argentinian soul. They fell behind, they absorbed a torrent of noise from the British media, and yet they found a way to win through a sheer, frightening resilience. But look at what happened after the final whistle. The narrative did not end, it merely mutated. We saw Jude Bellingham's petulant reaction toward young Valentin Barco, Christian Romero's fiery glares toward the television cameras, and the players defiantly raising a banner about the Malvinas right there on American soil. It created a siege mentality, a thick cloud of hostility that would choke most teams. But do not make the mistake of thinking this destabilizes them. For Argentina, external hostility is not a poison. It is the oxygen they breathe. They do not just survive under siege, they thrive. They need an enemy. They need to feel that it is us against the world to unlock that deepest, most primal survival instinct. The tears of Antonella Rocuzzo in the VIP boxes, the looming threats of FIFA sanctions, the sheer noise of the doubters, all of this acts as a catalyst, fusing Scaloni's dressing room into something as unbreakable as diamond. They are playing like martyrs now, fighting not just for a piece of gold or a tick in the history books, but to write the perfect, melancholic final chapter for Lionel Messi. When an entire group of highly talented, wealthy young men willingly surrender their own personal vanity to serve as a human shield for an aging myth, you enter the realm of the spiritual. No tactical notebook, no computer model can measure that kind of collective energy. Now, turn your eyes to Spain, and the contrast is almost jarring. Where Argentina is a raging tempest of South American passion, Spain arrives like a cool mountain stream, pure, precise, and perhaps slightly detached. This is Luis de la Fuente's masterwork, a team that represents the absolute cutting edge of the modern game. Gone is the dogmatic, almost religious adherence to the slow, sideways tiki-taka of the past, a style that had become a beautiful but sterile museum piece. The Spain of 2026 is direct, vertical, and lethal. They keep the ball, yes, but they do so to find the throat of the opponent. They will play short, 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 and then, with two vertical passes that cut like scalpels, you are dead. Their 2-0 demolition of France in the semifinal was a terrifying demonstration of systematic superiority. They did not just beat the world runners-up, they slowly, methodically took them apart, suffocating them with flawless positional play and immaculate distances between their lines. While Argentina fights with instinct and emotional surges, Spain plays like mathematicians solving an elegant equation. They know exactly when to accelerate, when to rest with the ball, and when to trigger a high press that leaves the opponent gasping for air. Beneath this smooth, on-pitch operation lies a quiet revolution of sports science. This squad has been monitored, measured, and fueled with biochemical precision throughout the tournament. They do not seem to feel fatigue. Lamine Yamal, at just 18 years old, glides across the turf with the effortless grace of a bird on the wind, while Pau Cubarsí defends with the cold, stoic authority of a veteran twice his age. And look at their camp. It is quiet. There are no scandals, no public feuds, no political statements. There is only a serene, almost surreal confidence. You see it in Marc Cucurella jokingly promising a bizarre tattoo if they win, or in Cubarsí calmly dismissing questions about the final because his only focus is his recovery protocol. Spain approaches the biggest game of their lives with cold minds and bodies that have been perfectly programmed for victory. This final is, in its essence, a tactical chess match between a brilliant, streetwise grandmaster who knows how to cheat the board and a supercomputer programmed with every conceivable variation of the game. Scaloni's great tactical masterpiece in this tournament has been the liberation of Lionel Messi. At 39, Messi cannot run back. He cannot press. Scaloni knows this, so Argentina defends with a fascinating asymmetrical block. When they lose the ball, Messi is completely excused from defensive duties. The remaining 9 outfield players drop into an incredibly compact, low to medium block, forming a double-layered wall around Emiliano Martinez's penalty area. But the real danger of this Argentina team lies in the transition phase. The very millisecond they win the ball back, the first pass is directed to Messi. He does not stay central. He lingers in those half spaces, those half-lit corridors between the opponent's fullback and center back. This is the most sensitive zone in modern defensive structures, the place where zonal marking systems begin to fray. If Messi is given even half a second of freedom in that space, he can deliver those trademark, defense-splitting passes for Julian Alvarez's diagonal runs or Alexis McAllister arriving from deep. And then, Scaloni has a late-game trap. Argentina does not press high for 90 minutes. They lure you into a false sense of security, playing at a slow, almost walking pace. But in the final 20 minutes of a match, when human fatigue begins to dull the opponent's cognitive sharpness, Argentina suddenly explodes into a high-intensity press. Rodrigo de Paul, operating with the lungs of 3 men, leads this charge, catching tired midfielders in possession and turning the final stages of a match into a chaotic, high-stress nightmare for the opposition. To counter this, De La Fuente will rely on his rest defense, marshaled by the incomparable Rodri. When Spain attacks, they do not commit both fullbacks forward. Instead, one fullback tucks inside to act as a third central midfielder, forming a rigid geometric block alongside Rodri and the 2 center backs. This structure ensures that the moment Spain loses possession, they can immediately execute a counterpress, shutting down the passing lanes to Messi before he can even lift his head to scan the pitch. In possession, Spain's plan is beautiful in its simplicity: stretch and isolate. They will pass short through the middle to draw Argentina's central midfielders inward, and then, with sudden diagonal switches, they will find Lamine Yamal or Nico Williams on the flanks. This forces Argentina's fullbacks into isolated, one-on-one situations. With their electric speed and dribbling ability, one slip from a defender opens up the entire penalty box for Spain's oncoming runners. The destiny of this World Cup will not be decided by grand tactical manifestos, but by the brutal, intimate duels fought in 3 specific zones of the pitch. First, look at the center circle, Rodrigo de Paul against Rodri. This is the heartbeat of the final. Rodri is the brain of this Spanish team. If you give him time to turn, to lift his chin, and to dictate the tempo, Spain will simply pass you to death. He makes the difficult look incredibly simple. Therefore, Scaloni will unleash his chief disruptor. De Paul does not just run for himself. He runs for Messi, acting as his personal bodyguard on the pitch. In this match, expect De Paul to play much higher than usual, hunting Rodri from the moment the ball leaves the Spanish goalkeeper's hands. It will be a test of pure friction. De Paul's aggression, his tackles, his quiet whispers in Rodri's ear, against the Spaniards' unflappable calmness. If De Paul can break Rodri's rhythm, he breaks Spain's entire machine. Then, look at the wing. Lamine Yamal against Nicolas Tagliafico. Yamal is a marvel, playing with the joyful innocence of a child on a playground, but with the lethal execution of an elite forward. But in Tagliafico, he faces a very different beast than those he encountered in Europe. Tagliafico is a defender of the old South American school, cunning, physical, and highly proficient in the dark art of the tactical foul. Argentina will not leave Tagliafico alone. They will double-team Yamal, using a central midfielder to block his inside cut. Tagliafico will look to physicalize the duel early on, testing the young Spaniard's temperament with heavy, borderline challenges. It is a classic footballing fable, the brilliant, shining sword of the future against the dented, scarred shield of the past. And finally, the ultimate narrative collision, Lionel Messi against Pau Cubarsí. This is a duel of La Masia generations, the young prince of Barcelona's academy defending against the ultimate king of that same institution. But Messi is no longer the player who will run past 4 defenders in a 30-yard sprint. He is an architect now. He will drop deep, dragging Cubarsí out of the defensive line. If the young center back follows him, he leaves a massive vacancy behind him for Julian Alvarez to exploit. Cubarsí must show a maturity beyond his years, relying on Aymeric Laporte and Rodri to help him manage the spaces Messi tries to manipulate. This match could turn on several different hinges, and the opening 15 minutes of either half will set the tone. Consider the first scenario: the collapse of the Argentinian wall under the relentless pressure of Spanish science. If Spain, with their superior physical conditioning and fluid possession, find an early goal through the sheer brilliance of Yamal or Williams, Argentina's entire game plan is thrown into the fire. They would be forced to chase the game, opening up spaces that they desperately want to protect. Against a Spain team that transitions with such devastating speed and controls territory so effortlessly, that is almost a form of tactical suicide. Rodri and his midfield partners would simply starve Argentina of the ball, picking them apart on the counterattack. The final would become a clinical, one-sided demonstration of youth and organization over exhausting experience. But there is a second, darker scenario, the devil's trap. Argentina happily yields 70% of the possession, turning Emi Martinez's penalty area into a fortress. They commit tactical fouls, they slow the game down, they provoke, and they wait. Slowly, the frustration begins to creep into the minds of Spain's young players. They push higher and higher, searching for the breakthrough, and then, in one fleeting second, the trap snaps shut. A single sublime pass from Messi, a diagonal run from Alvarez, a cold finish, and Argentina retreats back into their defensive shell. It is a style of football that is often called ugly, but in a World Cup final, beauty is defined solely by the color of the medal around your neck. And then, of course, there is the third scenario, the psychological purgatory of a penalty shootout and the looming, terrifying shadow of Emi Martinez. If these two sides cannot be separated after 120 minutes of agonizing tension, we enter a realm where logic dies. To win a penalty shootout, you need more than just technique. You need a specific kind of madness in goal. Emi Dibu Martinez is a master of this psychological theater. His dancing on the goal line, his slow walk to collect the ball, his quiet, devastating words spoken to the penalty takers, it is a performance designed to break the shooter's confidence before they even strike the ball. Against a young Spanish team raised in the quiet, structured environments of modern academies, this psychological pressure can be paralyzing. In that environment, a shootout is not a lottery. It is a stage where Argentina's competitive malice completely overwhelms Spain's youthful innocence. So who lifts the trophy into the Jersey night? Spain is, without question, the superior team in terms of collective system, physical metrics, and structural balance. They have played the most beautiful, consistent football of this tournament. By every logical metric of modern analysis, they should win. But football, particularly a World Cup final, has a habit of laughing at logical metrics. It is not decided by algorithms or data points. It is decided by the human spirit, by the capacity to suffer, and by the sheer, desperate weight of belief. Argentina possesses something that cannot be coded into a computer program. They have the deep ancestral knowledge of how to win these matches. They have a group of players who are entirely at peace with the prospect of footballing martyrdom if it means Lionel Messi can walk off into the sunset with one more golden trophy in his hands. That kind of collective devotion is a terrifying force to play against. When the dust settles at MetLife Stadium, I believe we will have witnessed a match that will be talked about for 50 years. Spain will dominate the ball. They will play with an elegance and a technical sophistication that will earn the applause of the world. But Argentina will find a way to make them suffer. They will disrupt. They will manipulate the referee. They will break the game into 1,000 tiny, chaotic pieces. And in the midst of that chaos, Lionel Messi will find his moment. It will not be an easy victory, nor will it be a clean one. It may arrive through the agonizing drama of a penalty shootout, or a single, clinical strike in the dying embers of extra time. But when the final whistle blows, the rugged, battle-tested soul of South American football will have triumphed once more over the flawless engineering of Europe. Lionel Messi will lift the World Cup for the second time, bringing a poetic, almost mythological end to the greatest era the game has ever known, leaving behind a young, heartbroken Spain that is destined to rule the world tomorrow but must yield to the king today.